Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you're a returning viewer to the channel. WB here, and in this video what I want to do is show you how you can use Maltego to do some OSINT gathering. As always, I ask if you like what you see on the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, click the notification bell. Comments are always welcome. Heck, any interaction you do with the channel is going to support us tremendously. In fact, speaking of support, if you want to interact with me after the video ends, check out the description for a link to our community Discord server where we have a ton of additional resources for you. All right, everybody, let's dive into using Maltego. All right, everyone, here we are on my Windows desktop here, and what we're going to do is get Maltego up and running. We'll get some of those data sources. I'll show you how to do the basic wizard configuration. Very straightforward process. We'll download the example graph that they start with. Gives you a lot of good information and kind of show you the relationships on Maltego as well. And then I want to show you how on the investigation tab you can create your own graph and you can perform some basic transforms to start your own graph and kind of get a feel for how you can use Maltego. So here we are on Maltego's website. Again, all credit to them. Great piece of software. You can go here if you want. You can choose the Get Started Now, or you could choose to sign in if you want to already have a Maltego account. If you choose Get Starting Now, let me go ahead and accept the cookies here. It's going to ask you, what do you want to use this for? OSINT, and choose Get Started Now, and it'll take you to the person of interest Maltego starting page here. Let's see, hopefully, there we go. Yeah, you can see personal person of interest investigation. But what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and go to pricing. And then from pricing here, you'll see we have three different SKU options for Maltego. You can see you get a lot of stuff with professional, and of course, organizations probably going to scale massively. But for us and for your demonstration purposes, I want you to utilize the basic community edition here for graph. Let me get this out of the way here. And we're going to go ahead and choose use for free. And then it wants us to create a Maltego ID. So we'll go ahead and choose use for free, Maltego ID. And then here's where you are going to go through the process of typing in whatever your email is, first and last name, choose continue. And then what it's going to do is it's going to create you an account, and then you'll have the ability to log in. Now, to help save us a little bit of time, I've already done all that, so I've already logged in. And when you log in with your account for the first time, this is what you're going to see, all right? And you can take a basic tour if you'd like here, and it'll give you some steps you can walk through. All right, so giving you just some information as you get started here. I'm going to go ahead and close that down. One of the things that's kind of coming, it's coming soon. If you hover to discover here, you'll see the graph is going to be online as well too. And what we want to do is we want to choose Maltego graph here, and then it's going to give us our installation options. And what it's going to do too, as a part of, let me go ahead and accept, there we go, the cookies there. All right, so now here we are at the download. The next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and download the exe plus Java environment. It is the preferred way to run Java. And then you can choose download here. Keep in mind too, depending on your operating system, I'm showing you this in Windows. Maybe if you want, leave me a comment. I'll show you how to do this in Linux. And we can hop on over there. You can see, depending on what your package manager is, right? If you're in a RHEL environment or a Debian environment, those of you that are running a Ubuntu. By the way, if you happen to be in Cali, you already have Maltego and you don't have to go through this process. So if you want to get straight to the graph, just jump forward in the video and you can choose download. Now, another thing I did to save us a little bit of time here is I went ahead and I have already downloaded Maltego in the background here. So let me go ahead and open that up. And then you can see here is our installation file. And we're going to go ahead and just click this, and it's going to start a very basic wizard. It will require us at some point to log in. So I am staying logged in the background here. So just be aware of that. We'll go ahead and choose yes. And then it's telling us a little bit about the Java runtime environment needs to be installed. So we're going to go ahead and say yes to that. I'm going to go ahead and close down File Explorer here. We'll minimize our browser here, and we're going to choose Next, and we'll go ahead and get the Java runtime environment up and running installed. Just kind of nexting through the wizard here. Nothing to see here. Nothing really crazy. If you want to change the default path, by all means, go ahead. Kind of beyond the scope of the video here. We'll go ahead and choose Next. And now this is where we get the ability to basically start the Maltego installation. So let's go ahead and let's jump into that. So we'll go ahead and click Next here. And it's going to ask us who do we want to install this for, anybody that uses the computer, or install just for me. In this case, I leave that up to you, just to consider the workstation that you're installing it on. You know, is it public access, and I don't mean like a kiosk, but you know, is it more than one user that is tied to a device, or is it a single workstation when tied to a single user? So depending on device affinity might dictate what you do on that one. The default location, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of next through this here, and it's going to give us a start menu folder as well too. We're going to choose install. Now, as part of the installation, even though we are going through the installation, we still have to also do some of the initial configuration, and this is where it will, depending on your download speeds, right, it could take a little bit because there are some things that we want to download and get it installed in as a part of the Maltego Graph Community Edition installation. So even though we have our Maltego setup does say complete here, I'm going to go ahead and choose create a desktop shortcut because I would lose my head if it wasn't attached to the neck. And now when we click Maltego, we're close to ready. Close, but we have to wait here. And again, depending on how much memory you have allocated to the machine, you know, the workstation that it's running on. I happen to have this one running on a VM that I'm connected to. It's got about 8 gigs of RAM. I will tell you, it might give you a warning. So for instance, if you are like me and you spin up a lot of different environments, maybe you spin up something with like just a basic Windows installation of about 4 gigs, the Maltego setup here is going to kind of balk at you a little bit. You'll see it coming up. We'll see how it does with 8 gigs. But here's Maltego ID. If you have a license key, you know, depending on the SKU you have. I'm going to use the Maltego ID, choose Next. And then what this is going to do, you can provide an offline activation. I'm going to do the default online activation, which is then going to point us back to our browser. And the browser, when we go to launch it up, in fact, we still have our browser authenticated. So we should be good in here in the background. If you didn't, you're just going to have to log in with your Maltego ID, as you'll see. All right, here we go, everybody. The very first and basics kind of starting up here with configuring Maltego is the EULA, the End User License Agreement. Don't worry, I'm not going to be giving you a test on the EULA, but you are responsible to adhering to this. And we'll choose Next. All right, now as we next through the options here, like I've mentioned, depending on connection, connection speed, it could take a bit to get some of this set up for you. Next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our browser login. We'll choose browser login. It's gonna link us back to our Maltego login. I'll go ahead. I was hoping it might do a pass-through. Doesn't look like it's going to do a pass-through. So we'll just go ahead and add that super secret password, and you all will get to see how bad my typing is. And really, how many times can I enter a password? Well, I guess the answer would be as much as it takes to get into the system, right? All right, so there we're logging in. Hopefully it'll redirect us. We should get a big check mark here if I've typed in my password. Oh, looks like we've done that. And now that our login is completed, we'll go ahead and we're going to choose Next. And hopefully, if everything goes all right, we should be activated here, and then we can go into the next part. the start page and the data hub is a good thing to see. It looks like we have activated successfully, so we'll go ahead and choose next on this. And then we are going to install our transforms. And where do we want to install from? I'm going to go ahead and just use the default here, utilities, choose next. All right, and could take just a second for this. And you might see the same thing because our data sources, you'll see we have a series of terms and conditions, and it's just accepting the terms and conditions for the data sources as well. All right, and we can see what was downloaded: application servers, transforms, icons, entities, transform sets, and machines. We'll choose next here. URLs. Right, and the disclaimer, going ahead and selecting the checkbox for the terms and conditions on the data sources and choosing next to install those data sources. Because as part of our process of running these transforms, right, you'll see that we will install a lot of additional components here. Choose next. If you want to send report information, you can. I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to do that. And then what is the default browser that you're going to run in, depending on what you have installed. I'm going to choose Chrome, and I'll choose next. All right, and then what's the privacy mode? Do we want stealthy or normal? I'm just going to keep this at the default of normal, and we'll choose next. Now, here's something that's really interesting, and I would encourage you to do this. There is an example graph, and you do get the ability to open that. Or if you want, you can just start with a blank graph. So depending on if you're following along in the video, you can do one or the other. If you choose not to open the example graph, that's fine. You can just skip forward a little bit because we will be creating a blank graph anyways. We'll go ahead and choose next. We'll finish, excuse me. And what we should see here is that we will get a good graph, nice complex graph here of Maltego. Now, you'll notice one thing, it didn't balk at me for the on the installation about the resource requirements. So again, check your minimum system requirements for the device platform when you are installing it. All right, now you could take the tour. I'm going to go ahead and skip the tour here, and we'll close this, and it's going to ask you, are you sure? Are you really, really sure? Right, and then what we can see is we can see a good graph of Maltego and a lot of the information and relationships. You can even right-click on all of these, and you can run the transforms that we have, downloaded. So it's a great way to gain kind of some insight into the graph, the graph and how it looks like now, and what it looks like, and some of the things that you can do in it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave this open. However, in the background, what I want to do, and let me show you one other thing. I tell you, I've done this before. If you're like me and you go Jiminy Clickets and you accidentally get rid of any one of the palettes or any one of the panels, I should say here, you can go over to Windows here in the upper right-hand corner on the options menu, and you gain access to all of those different panels that you can add back. So for me, entity, palette, I'm going to save you a little bit of frustration because I know I have done this before. Now we're going to go back to investigate, and what we're going to do is choose new graph. Again, you can keep the example graph open. There's no problem with that, and I do encourage you to do that so you can start to gain a little bit of information about, just some of the different transforms and relationships, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a basic one for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type domain. And when I type domain, you'll see that there's the domain infrastructure here. You could type domain entity. Let's see. Nope, domain entity is not going to show up. But domain here is what we want. It is a domain entity that we want. So we can take this and we can drag this to our graph here. Now notice it's maltego.com. Right. If you want, you can do this, yourself, and you could put in, if you want to start, like, for instance, an investigation, something like gnu.org. All right. and we can start that. And we can right click on this and we can start to run transforms, right? Depending on the transforms that we want to run. So maybe here we search for email, maybe email address, right? And we want a to email address and the from who is info. So we go ahead and we run this. Do we get any kind of information? We might not get any information. Looks like we did, and I actually have to link this. I'll go ahead and choose cancel. All right, you got to make sure that you select it or it will not let you move it, right? So we've got, we've started out gaining a little bit of information already on a domain. Maybe we select it, we right click on it, right? We've got our email address. Maybe we say instead we go to phone. Right, and we look at 2 phone numbers from who is, and then we run this transform, and you can see it's running. So now we have a phone number as well too, right? We can do a lot more. So let me select this one. Maybe we put this over here, and then we select, right click. Maybe we do something like to DNS, and we do to DNS name. What do we want? I'm going to be a little bit more specific. I want to do find. Oh, no, maybe. Oh, you know what it is? I put a curly brace. I'm sorry. It is supposed to be a bracket. All right. Looking for one specific in here. Yeah, there we go. So it's to DNS name, and then it's find common DNS names. You can select it there. And then we choose run on this one. I wasn't typing it right. And as always, you get to see my lovely typing ability. So now we get some additional information that we can now see. Again, selecting these, we can start to build our topology if we want here. So you can see maybe we do another one. Let me see if I can find, there's a fun one in here. It is search. Let's see, 2-file, email, website, search engine. Yeah, let's do 2 website using domain search engine, and let's go ahead and run this transformer and see if we get any additional information on it. All right, there we go. So now we can see some information related to the web pages, right? You can see things like child domains here, and we're starting to see a lot of information. Again, just kind of building that information map, right? Basically in our graph, inside of our graph here, and those relationships. Right, so again, not meant to be an all-inclusive, all-exhaustive type of demonstration here. I will show some additional ones in the future where we'll get a little bit more specific. Just wanted to kind of show you how you could start to build a graph, run some transforms, gather some information about this, an entity here, and start doing your investigations, grabbing some of that OSINT information inside of Maltego. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for taking the time and joining me.